Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to put the control horns on. First, you have your ailerons. You want to make sure they deflect up and down. Like, see, this one doesn't deflect very well down, so I'm going to cut right here. I'm going to look. I can see there's a part here and here that's a little high, so I'm going to cut these parts off real quick. And I can see that now this will deflect down quite a bit more. There's still a little high part right here. Okay, now we got that where that moves a little easier. Now, one part we need to do is add a piece of tape. This is going to help. I'm going to add it along the edge of this wing. Okay, like that. Bring this down to the servo, and then I'm going to take this razor blade and just cut right along. Oh. Right where I want it. Well, that's actually probably good right there. So right there. I need to also cut here so this can bend like that. And I'll probably just go ahead and take So what it's going to do is add a nice little extra layer of protection to keep this flap strong. I also need to cut a little hole right here for where that control horn is going to go. There we go. Okay, so here's our control horn. It's going to go in here. We don't want to glue this in till we've measured everything out. You'll have this little part right here. We're going to put it in right here and then go over here to our control rod right here. Okay, and this, when this moves, is going to move the flaps up and down. But what we want first is to make sure this is at 0, which we can probably double check it with the servo tester just to be safe. Remember, take the balance cable, we're going to hit the black one into the positive, and like that. We're going to take this one, just in case this is moved. We're going to go to neutral, and that should be the 0 position of it. Okay, going to go. So it looks like it's moving right, moving it back to where it needs to go. Okay, so I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to mark the 4th hole down from the top. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to mark number 4, and that's where we want to go in. Oh, whoops, it's this one right here, sorry. So there should be 3 holes above that mark. Then I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna mark right where that, I want this to be completely flat and flush with this wing. And then I'm gonna mark a little dot where that needs to go, okay? So you can see now I have this rod and I have a dot right where that bend needs to happen. So I'm going to take this out. Now you can see that this has a little, it goes here, folds that way, it goes down. We're going to make sure we fold that way. So this, we're going to go away from this little hook. You're going to need 2 pairs of pliers for this. You don't want to grab your pliers like right on the mark. You want it to be like there to be a little space there because it doesn't bend just perfectly. And then you want to kind of line this up because remember you're bending away right here. And then we're gonna kind of, and notice when you start to bend, I can tell, there we go. I like to hook mine back a little bit. Yeah, like right there. Okay. I'm gonna grab this guy. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna leave like a centimeter or a quarter inch, maybe like that. I'm gonna hold that thing because it can go flying. All right, so now that we have this piece, it looks like this. You see where the mark is. We're gonna come here. We're gonna put this in. And actually, we might have to go the other way now. It's really important you have your servo screws in. So I'm gonna go through that hole right there. And now that should be about in the middle. So we're gonna see what this does when it starts moving. So, okay, so this isn't, I'm just gonna have to hold this in here. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this right here. Okay. You can see how it's moving this flap. It looks like, so that's my maximum deflection down. So I can't tell if it's hitting that. You might, you know, if this is you might actually have to cut out some of this to make sure that it can move all the way. Or if this is hitting over here, which this is not on this one. You don't need a lot of movement here. Believe it or not, that's plenty. That's why we're going so far down on this. Okay. So we're gonna go back to the neutral on here, neutral, and this should be flush with this. And so one way we're gonna ensure this is we're gonna take this off. We're gonna get a piece of painter's tape. If I can get it off. I'm gonna kind of tape this flat. Okay, that way this can't move very easily because this is at its 0 point. And this is at its 0 point. All right, okay. So now when we tape this on here, we can glue this control horn in. So we want to use quite a bit of glue here. I'm gonna put, okay, so I put quite a bit in there. That's awesome. And then we're gonna stick this in there. And we want this to dry in a way that this is flat, why that's at 0, which is, that's when it's on the neutral light. So it should be dry. I'm going to add some more right here. I just like having this reinforced, this piece right here. Actually takes a decent amount of force. And I want to kind of line this up as close as I can line it up with that servo. So like right there. And that's not good. There we go. One thing you need to make sure is that the screws are on these servo arms. If you look in here, you need to do this, should have done this before, but if they're not, we're gonna have to kind of push the screw through the wing and get in there and get that screw in place, because these can come off. Almost dry, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go back here to the manual. And I need to take this tape off. Now, if everything works correctly, when I move this knob, now we want to move it a bunch of times because I want to make sure that this rod doesn't come out. Because I can see it kind of sliding. So we got plenty of deflection. All right. And if I want to, I can take this off. I'm gonna hold this right here. Actually, I'm gonna take it off this thing too. I'm gonna add a little bit more of a curve in there, so I'm just worried about this popping loose. So if I add a little bit more of a curve in here, like right here. See if I can do it. Okay, so you can see I kind of put like a little hook on there. That will help hold it in and stop it from coming out of place. Put this back in. Put this back in that spot. There we go, we're in spot. We're at neutral. Or we're not at neutral. That's neutral. And now let's go back to testing it. You hear that clicking? I don't like that. That's that tape hitting. So I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna just take a sliver off. Take a sliver off there. Okay, now let's listen, see if it... Don't hear that clicking noise anymore. So make sure all this tape's down. Now you want tape over, if you're doing the Corsair, you want tape over your servo. If you're doing the Mustang, you don't need to. And I like having it under because it's just a thin piece of paper. Just gives you some added extra security. But yeah, that's it. So like I said, the most important thing is that whenever this is at neutral, that middle light, this is flush and clean with this, okay? There's one other thing you can do to save a little bit of drag is you don't need all this actuation, so you can come and cut like this. There's like a dot above, you can just cut that part off. Like that. And that will cause less drag. There's a button. Oh, I just unplugged the battery. Remember, S, positive, negative. Red's positive, black's negative. S is signal. Yeah, and that also gives your servo more room. You can see it's less stuff for it to hit over here now that we cut that top part off. But yeah. Watch for stuff like this right here. Like, that's there. We're just gonna go ahead and just peel that off. Just stuff like that can cause drag. We don't need it. I mean, that's probably okay, but that was hanging loose, so we'll make sure things are cleaned up. If you have any like little rips in your, like you can see here, the wing had ripped apart. I recommend before you fold it, you put a piece of tape all the way across. But if you didn't and it ripped, you can put some tape here. And then, ooh, also this part didn't get glued down good enough because you can see this is moving again, so we're gonna have to redo that. But all right, hope that helps.